President-elect Donald Trump has continued to promise to crack down against illegal immigration on day one of taking office. With Inauguration Day just about a month away, Donald Trump's rhetoric about deporting over 1 million migrants is increasing. This comes after the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, released data of the number of illegal migrants who are reportedly being marked for deportation.
The president-elect has started sketching out some of his immigration policies. It happened in a new interview. So his pledges continue for mass deportations of criminals here illegally as promised. His promises didn't stop there.
You've promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it.
Trump will get down to business. America is dealing with a host of problems. Chief among them are the economy and illegal immigration. Trump based his campaign on these issues. He promised to fix them, and that's why he was elected for a second term.
Good morning, Africans. I hope you're doing fine where you are, and if you ain't doing fine, please do fine where you are. It's good to be fine, and it's never good not to be so fine. Yeah, so I have some very sad news for you. I don't know whether it's sad news or I don't know how you'll interpret it, but judging by the title of the video, you can clearly tell that it's really not a good news of, or rather the one who is coming into power. You know, he's made very threatening decisions that is going to affect so many families, you know, and we have so many headlines in Google, on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, X if you like. And the headline is that 18,000 Indians in the United States of America are to face deportations. You know, we also have some other races, we have some other nationalities that Trump believes went to the United States of America illegally. And this is very interesting because we have very many ways of civilization, of becoming a citizen, or rather citizenship. We have different methods: by birth, by registration, by marriage, and you can become a citizen by naturalization. You live there for so long until you become a citizen. Now, imagine this situation where you yourself, your parent, went to USA illegally, but you were born there, you went to school, you went to high school, you even went to college. Now, according to Trump, you are an American by birth, but you are a Kenyan, or rather an African, by law. So when your parents are being deported, you will also be deported. That is what Trump is going to make. So I want us to watch this video, get a glimpse of what really is happening, and let's attach ourselves to the situation on how it is. Let's dive into this video, and then I shall share with you my thoughts where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. Let's dive in.
The president-elect has started sketching out some of his immigration policies. It happened in a new interview. So his pledges continue for mass deportations of criminals here illegally as promised. His promises didn't stop there.
You've promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it.
Joining us in our fifth seat, Cristina Jimenez, co-founder of United We Dream, a nonprofit immigrant advocacy organization here in the U.S. Cristina, can you get your reaction to how the president-elect tried to parse some of these other policies beyond the mass deportations?
Well, I think I just want to remind everyone that when he and the future administration is talking about their immigration policy, they are talking about separation of families and going after anyone that they can get a hold to for deportation. I know this because I was formerly undocumented. I have a brother who's a DACA recipient. And I know this because I was working with immigrant communities in his first administration. And so I know that under the disguise of going after people that have committed crimes, they use a frame of criminality to go after everyone. Under the past administration with Trump, DACA recipients were deported. Families were separated not only at the border as people came here seeking refuge, but also in the interior of the United States. So we're talking about children, families, and I think that we need to take this seriously.
Scott, I want to come to you because I do find it interesting that during his first term, the president did engage in this family separation policy as a deterrent, right? It was like, don't come here because this will happen. And now when asked this question about families with mixed status, he didn't talk about separation, right? He was like, basically, maybe everyone should go. Do you think that reflects some kind of like, I don't know, shift after that first experience in the first term?
Yeah, I thought his answers on that and on really everything else on the immigration portion of the interview were eminently reasonable, fit with his campaign promises, are politically popular, and showed some pragmatism even on the Dreamers issue. He talked about finding a solution for the Dreamers and an overall immigration deal. But make no mistake, the immigration platform that he laid out in the campaign is popular. People want him to do something about it. The family separation issue, I mean, he clearly said he doesn't want to separate families. So I think what he's laying out, Republicans are going to support it. You may even get a few Democrats to support it if it is a comprehensive deal, which the American people desperately want.
Hillary, you're shaking your head a bit, and I know that for Democrats, the whole conversation around Dreamers, undocumented young people who are brought here on their own, it's just been this like kind of long-running saga. Can you talk about like what is the kind of Democratic argument about this point if Republicans believe they have a mandate to take this level of action?
Well, I think Democrats should be and have been sort of much more moderate about this. Yes, asylum needs much more scrutiny, and there are significant numbers of undocumented workers where people are worried that there is criminality, but those people are actually identifiable. That does not require the sweep that I think people are legitimately afraid of. Also, I think what he didn't say was almost as important as what he did say. He seemed to imply that naturalized citizens don't belong in the United States. And then I thought, well, sorry, dude, aren't you married to a naturalized citizen? Are you gonna, like, is Melania and her father, are they all of a sudden not legitimate Americans?
I don't think that's true.
Well,
I think
no, I'm sorry. When you talk about birthright and citizenship, that's kind of what people are thinking all day.
His priorities were clear. People with deportation orders, violent criminals, that's where they're going to start. And that is really popular.
That's where they should end. I totally agree with that.
There's a lot of fear-mongering going on about that.
I just think that we need to, I do think we need to look at not only what he's saying, but what he did. Like, there's a track record. Actions speak louder than words. They went after everyone in the last administration. So I just don't think we need to fall for that trap. And on the point about, DACA recipients, my brother is a DACA recipient. I was, formerly undocumented, part of the Dreamer movement that was able to win DACA under the Trump administration. And when we engage in very credible bipartisan efforts to pass legislation, what did Trump do? He killed every single bipartisan deal. And the last one, let's remember, he killed it by using language I will not use here to refer to Black and brown immigrants when we were talking about immigration policy.
What we do hear are Democrats talking about we need to be more moderate, they will say, right? We need to talk in different ways about immigration. We need to be tougher on immigration. That kind of we need to language I'm hearing from Democrats a lot. Where does that leave an activist like yourself in the middle of this discussion?
For me, I think that we need to have a real conversation about the immigration system and the laws that we need. And quite frankly, I'm not going to be here to also defend where Democrats have gone wrong on this issue. Our movement is actually quite independent, and we have been on opposite side with Democrats as well. But the thing here is that this is about a conversation, to your point about birthright citizenship, about who gets to be an American and the soul of this country. And when we're talking about taking away birthright citizenship, when we're talking about not caring about deporting children who are U.S. citizens, separating them from their parents, I think we're talking about who gets to have full protection under the Constitution.
And I think that goes to the origin of the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was created for Black people who had been enslaved, who are now free. It was one of the Reconstruction Amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th. And the 14th declared birthright citizenship specifically for Black people. So this isn't just a Latino issue. This is an issue about who you go after when you're finished with the Latinos. Who do you go after after you do that? This is something that black people, more credit. This is something that black people should be very concerned about.
Okay, Solomon, hold on. Black people weren't running here. Okay, they were taken here. There is a big difference between being pulled out of your continent into this continent and you deserve rights versus people who are coming into this country without obeying by the laws.
Why was the 14th Amendment created?
To help the people who were brought here against their will.
Right.
Okay?
And who are those people?
These are the black people.
Okay.
These are people who are coming here.
That's why I'm making the point
they're
that I'm
coming here
making.
voluntarily against the law. Christina, what you said about the system
Was
being
it
broken,
lawful to enslave
nobody
black
could
people?
disagree with
Yeah,
you.
no, it's
No
not
one could
working.
disagree.
If we were to have a real look, all of us here benefit from immigrant labor.
I was just
if
gonna
you
say,
just like came, took the train, you ordered delivery from a
100%.
restaurant, or you had a nice meal at a restaurant, we all here depend on immigrant labor. And what he's talking about is going after families, going after workers, and going after entire communities that will destroy not only families.
I heard him talk about criminals.
I think that there's a real need, though, to try and maybe this is where Democrats should be adding value and maybe aren't adding enough value, to really not just look at individuals, but to look at what this country needs and where people are actually getting jobs and working. Because our country does depend on immigrant labor in all sorts of industries. And that's something where, you know, to be honest, Donald Trump cares about growth, economic growth, as do Democrats and immigrant activists. And so, you know, when Christina says there needs to be a thoughtful conversation about this, the rhetoric needs to go away. You do need a thoughtful conversation.
You can't say we need immigrant labor and then have people here sustaining major parts of our economy and they say, oh, by the way, we don't want you, we're going to deport you. So we really need to have
we obviously are a nation
of conversation.
And we do use immigrant labor in this country, and it's very important. But you can't have a country without laws. And the political reality is that the American people believe the border is not secure. They believe the immigration system is a mess. They believe the politicians in Washington have failed. And they believe this has gone on and on and on. And a major reason he won the election is to clean it up. And part of cleaning it up is saying, if you came here illegally and you don't obey our laws, we're not giving you special privileges anymore. That's the political bottom line.
Yeah, but you know what? He didn't clean it up last time.
Right.
It's not that easy.
He did a better job than Joe Biden.
Where's the wall?
Why did Joe Biden throw out all of his executive orders on day one that led to this
though,
crisis?
a better job traumatizing over 5,000 children, separating
how many
children
children has this administration lost track of? Do you know? It's tens of thousands.
Yeah, the Trump administration made it impossible to have any way to be able to
Where have you been the last 4 years, honestly? I mean, the Biden administration
nobody's done a good job with
has
this,
done
Scott, but,
nothing
you know,
but make this worse. The political reaction to this in November was to go back to Trump because they believed he had it under control and could get it under control.
Jennings, you hear in that ending birthright citizenship?
This has been
in that vote, I mean.
This has been a long-standing argument of some on the right who are immigration hardliners. I assume it'll be litigated. To me, the most critical.
We begin in the United States, where President-elect Donald Trump has continued to promise to crack down against illegal immigration on day one of taking office. With Inauguration Day just about a month away, Donald Trump's rhetoric about deporting over 1 million migrants is increasing. This comes after the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, released data of the number of illegal migrants who are reportedly being marked for deportation. According to the ICE document, 1.5 million migrants have been identified for deportation, with the highest number of undocumented residents being from Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, and El Salvador. The list also includes thousands of migrants from Asia, particularly China and India. Now, the United States has about 7 million undocumented migrants living in the country, with the most being from Mexico, followed by El Salvador, India, Guatemala, and Honduras. Washington has already begun deporting some of the illegal immigrants, particularly those who have a criminal record or ties to drug cartels.
The first thing I thought was, I'm not going to sleep on the floor anymore. I'm not going to be cold anymore. I'm not going to be hungry anymore, and neither are my children. When it sank in that I was landing, that I was in Honduras. When I arrived, I went to my mother's house in Yoro, and when I arrived, I sat down and took a deep breath and said I was in Honduras again, and I couldn't believe it. The impact was very strong. It felt like getting hit by a bucket of cold water to realize that I had to start from scratch in a country where I had tried so many times and I could not get off the ground. It was very suffocating for me.
Meanwhile, in an interview with Time magazine last week, Donald Trump said that he would also cut business ties with nations refusing to take back migrants that are going to be deported from the United States.
I'll get them into every country, or we won't do business with those countries. I want them out, and the countries have got to take them back. If they don't take them back, we won't do business with those countries, and we will impose substantial tariffs on them.
Now, the United States has already designated at least 15 nations as uncooperative in the deportation process, with some of the major countries being India, Russia, China, Ukraine, and Cuba, with Donald Trump threatening to impose sanctions on these countries for refusing to take back migrants. Washington could be staring at a global trade war and strained diplomatic tensions. Time and again, prominent economic and business experts have warned that the tariffs would increase the cost of living for average Americans and even impact the U.S. stock market.
It reacts to tariffs, whether or not, they have an impact that could slow growth or create a stickier inflationary environment will be dependent on what's actually implemented. And I'm sure the administration will be very thoughtful about how it proceeds. It's the same thing with immigration policy and deportations.
Now, if Donald Trump goes ahead with his plans of deportations and tariffs, American taxpayers will not just be paying for the high logistical cost of the mass deportations, but even for daily use products, as India and China remain among the 10 trading partners for the United States, particularly for mobile phones, pharmaceutical goods, and other products.
This is a very sad news that I can speak to you point blank without hiding anything. This is not good news, because Trump does not just end with that family which is not having, the permits. Trump is even going to the child. Trump says that he has gone so far to the Constitution that he is going there to search for just that single statue that allows him to execute his plan. As you know, the president has some limitations. The president does not just act because he wants to act. He has to be supported by the parliament. He has to be supported by the law. And if the law is passed, the president gets his way through. Trump is very, very adamant. Trump is very stiff. One thing that we know about Trump is that he's a man of his words. First, when he was elected into presidency, we saw America have build the wall between it and Mexico, because back then the Mexicans were really moving into the USA in droves. We had so many illegal migrants. Even there's a lot of movies that explain this. So Trump refusing to allow this to happen, or rather to continue, he puts an end to it, and also he wipes the whole population. Here's where I have a problem with all this. I have a problem because that child who is born in the United States of America, that child is a citizen by birth and is a citizen by law. The parents are the ones who are not citizens, but they themselves, the children should be exempted from all this. And then I have another message to those people who think that the United States of America is the answer to your problems. No, there's much you can do in your own country. If you just had the right opportunities, if you had the right mindset, there is so much you can do to your country than you can do another place. There was a president in the United States of America. His name was J.F. Kennedy, and he is one of the best presidents the United States ever had. Here is something that he said: do not ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And right now, if we can step back and remember the words of J.F. Kennedy, I can clearly tell you that many people won't be faced with such a problem that is being represented by Trump. I understand, and I fully understand that India, which is the most spoken here, we also have some other countries, let's not ignore that. But India is one of the countries, maybe the second, with the highest population in the whole world. This country of India you know, they might be having problems, but sometimes if you have that critical mindset, you can be a creator, you can be a problem solver for your own country. And when you can spot deficiencies, when you can spot market gaps in your own country, then you can create a solution, and this solution will bring profit to you. You understand? So this idea of, I want to go to the US, I want to make it there, I cannot make it in my own country, is so bad. Here in Africa, we face it as well. The Africans go to the extent of drowning. They go to the extent of facing severe drought, severe famine, you know, while crossing the Sahara. The Sahara is not a joke. And also, those people in the northern Africa, those people are not friendly to the black Africans. Some of them are deleted, you know. And when they reach the port, they either drown or reach their destination. If they reach the destination, they have to deal with the customs. And if they deal with the customs, if they happen to overcome the custom, now they deal with the people. And then the job, you are always dealing with something. You are never fully accepted. And what kind of life is that really? You know, if you want to go to a place, maybe you might just go and seek a work permit, apply for a job. But going there illegally is not something that will really answer your question. You'll always be looking at your shoulders. The immigration department will always be hunting you down. And as for me, I don't think it's right. I also don't think it's right that Trump wants to deport even children who are protected by the Constitution just because there's another line of Constitution that allows him to do so. At least he should have some morality. Morality should be something that should be guiding. You know, sometimes if you're faced with what is right and what is kind, choose kindness instead of what is right. Because kindness, in as much as it might seem not good, in the end, in the long run, it's always bring about good results. Yes, that is my message to everyone who wants to go, or rather anyone who is in the United States of America and went there illegally. Also, let me go back. We've also had some Kenyans who went to play sports and they never came back. We say that they Kipchoge, Kipchoge the runner. So they escaped and they found some route into the United States of America and they never came back just because maybe they went for Olympics or some games. They ran away from their team. We've also had Kenyans doing that. Anyways, your home, east or west, home is the best. And if you did that, Trump is on you. So it's high time you be a critical thinker. And I'm sorry for everyone who is facing these difficulties. I don't have much to say. I don't have enough knowledge to speak on this matter. I don't know what took you there, but you do. So let me end it here and share your thoughts in the comment section. Let's continue this discussion. Support us on Patreon. Subscribe, share this video. See you in the next one.